What's up, YouTube? It's Cholula here, and I'm really excited to be bringing you episode 9 of my Wolverine Wednesdays title series. It's been a crazy 8 weeks since my last episode. I apologize. You guys know how crazy life could be. Things get crazy, things get in the way, but, and I'm actually a little bit under the weather right now, but, you know, honestly, I just want to do this video. Hopefully, it'll make me start to feel a little bit better. Uh, anyways, let's get to some books. This week, I'm going to be introducing books number 19, 20, and 21 as introduced in Title Series Volume 2 of Wolverine. As always, you guys, the Wolverine Title Series, it never fails to produce some really exciting and iconic covers. And this week's set of books does not disappoint. Here we have book 19, which I believe is a John Byrne cover. And I love the details in the faces and in the arms. All the bubbles going around Wolverine's face as he struggles to get free from Tiger Shark. Before he runs out of air. So this is a great cover here. Issue number 20. Oops. This is issue number 20, another great John Byrne piece. Newly introduced heroine La Bandera faces off against the infamous Tiger Shark. So this is a cool cover. I love this one. Let's see if I can put this one back here. And number 21, finally, number 21, another great John Byrne cover. And, this one's great because you got a grizzled and snarling Logan. You got that signature dark and broody, like sullen 90s look that, I grew up loving that. And obviously, it's a red cover. If you guys know me, I love my red covers. So this is actually one of my favorite covers of the early Wolverine series. So those are the books, you guys. We're going to get to the stories real soon. Thanks for sticking with me. If you guys are still around and watching, I appreciate you guys toughing it out with me these past few weeks. But we're going to get to some stories now. So thank you guys. Let's get to it. Issue 19, titled Heroes and Villains. Here we have Acts of Vengeance tie-in part 3 of 7. Wolverine makes it to the shores of the revolutionary, war-torn island nation of Tierra Verde. We have a first appearance of a lesser-known Cuban-born mutant superhero known as La Bandera, which is Spanish for the flag. La Bandera has the ability to elicit and project emotions onto a crowd, also known as empathy powers, as well as the power to shoot energy blasts through her staff. La Bandera is facing off against the tenaciously terrifying Tiger Shark. Tiger Shark, who made his first appearance in issue 5 of Prince Namor the Submariner, has superhuman strength, stamina, durability, senses, and accelerated swimming speed, and razor-sharp adamantium teeth. That's right, you guys. The same metal that our old Canuckwa has laced over his skeleton, Tiger Shark has on razor-sharp teeth. So without further ado, let's get to the story. Story opens up with Wolverine making use of Gateway, the X-Men's aboriginal and instant travel portal opening mutant, in order to get to the shores of Tierra Verde, the final port where Guy's ship has set sail and Wolverine means to head him off at the past. As Wolverine makes his way to the island, he takes note of how even though the island seems beautiful on the outside to the tourists, it's not so nice for the people who live there. It's the old adage of everything that glitters ain't gold, which is a great setup for this beautiful splash page, introducing the hero, La Bandera, and the villain, Tiger Shark, in this aptly named issue, Heroes and Villains, written by Archie Goodwin, artist John Byrne, finishes by Klaus Johnson, colorist Mike Rockowitz, letterer Jim Novak, editor Bob Harris, and editor-in-chief Tom DeFalco. Although he's torn and wanting to help a damsel in distress, Wolverine makes a great point of not wanting to get involved in the situation because he doesn't know the players. And just when La Bandera seems to be on the ropes, she uses her empathy powers to rally the onlookers to her cause. As La Bandera leads the charge against Tiger Shark, she hits him with an energy blast out of her staff, but Tiger Shark's not down for long. Tiger Shark dusts himself off, and he reminds La Bandera that she ain't back in Dade County, Florida, fighting off 2-bit crackheads. He's a real deal, and she stepped on some big toes trying to fight the good fight against some powerful drug dealers. Just when La Bandera seems done for, Wolverine jumps in and seems to cause a leak in Tiger Shark's suit. And as his suit springs that leak, we find out that the water is what powers Tiger Shark's superpowered suit, which, by the way, makes him almost as heavy hitter as a submariner. But as Tiger Shark retreats, Wolverine gets a glimpse of Guy's ship making its way towards the island. But while La Bandera is trying to celebrate a victory, Wolverine busies himself trying to get her to understand that Tiger Shark is not out for long, and she needed to run. While La Bandera and Logan split up, Logan runs into Jack Bascom, a familiar face from Logan's Canadian CIA days. Jack offers up info on La Bandera's past, along with an ominous warning. La Bandera's father was of Cuban descent, and had ties to Fidel's regime, who later turned to drugs and died a junkie. Meanwhile, in New York City, we see the plot thickens as none other than the Kingpin himself is having a meeting via teleconference with General Caridad, leader of Tierra Verde. Caridad is not happy with the fact that the Kingpin is the one who sent Tiger Shark to Tierra Verde. As tensions rise between Kingpin and General Caridad, Kingpin diplomatically cuts the teleconference short for a seemingly more pressing meeting, and we get a nice little cameo from Doctor Doom, Magneto, and the Red Skull, which is really kind of strange and off-putting to me that a villain like Magneto, who's a man of Jewish descent and survived the atrocities of the internment camps, is standing next to a Nazi like the Red Skull. But I guess if you're a villain, you gotta do what you gotta do. When we get more information that Caridad is using his illegal and illicit drug trade to try and fund the search for a national hero to give Tierra Verde a symbol of pride and hope. And soon we learn that Caridad's so-called miracle cocaine, remember the one that gives normal human beings the sheer strength and speed to be able to go toe-to-toe with the likes of Daredevil, and then eventually kills them horribly? It comes from a place surrounded by much legend, known as El Jardín del Rey, which is Spanish for the King's Garden, and that ever since the crop of cocaine was produced, the land has been barren. Caridad goes on to tell a couple of legends surrounding El Jardín del Rey. Some say that in prehistoric times, it was a place bombarded by falling stars. Others say it was a place where ancient gods fought and died. Nonetheless, Caridad's major concern comes to play. He thinks he has finally found the hero to his people in Roughhouse, as Roughhouse is the only one who can withstand the doses of cocaine, and by using his wife's healing touch, he can easily patch the big guy up over and over. Just as Geist and Caridad finish their meeting, Wolverine, who was slinking around in the background, makes his move, eager to get some payback for that last beating he took, and to get his sparring partner Roughhouse back from his captors. Meanwhile, Caridad is revealing his full plan to Sister Salvation, his former wife, the nun with the healing touch. We see poor Roughhouse out of his mind from the drugs, starting to get sores all over his body. Sister Salvation is sickened by Caridad's methods. But there is more trouble for Caridad as he is pleading his case to his wife, as La Bandera has inspired true revolution in the people who began their attack on the ruthless regime. At the same time, Geist is leading Wolverine to Roughhouse. But is it a trap? Along the way, we see that Geist has a long history and much blood on his hands, from aiding Adolf Hitler, to bartering German scientists for his freedom, to using his intel in underground CIA operations. The man has an extensive history of seedy, underhanded activities. As the two make their way through the secret underground tunnels, the tunnels begin to collapse under the stress from the rebellion's attack. But as the two make their way further through the maze, Wolverine's spidey sense starts to tingle. He can feel he's being set up, but before he can act, he's pulled into the seawater tanks below. Tiger Shark. But as Tiger Shark takes Wolverine under and waits for Wolverine to fight his way to the surface, Wolverine actually kicks his way to the depths, and his plan is to be swept out by the undertow currents to get away from Tiger Shark. And the strategy seems to work for the time being. Wolverine finds his way to the pipeline leading out to the ocean. All he has to do is make it to the surface to catch his breath and warn La Bandera. Only it's not going to be that easy. Let's find out what happens in the next issue, Buried at Sea. Issue 20, titled Miracles. Here we have Acts of Vengeance tie-in part 4 of 7. Wolverine faces off against the terrifyingly troublesome Tiger Shark. In the meantime, Sister Salvation lays her healing hands on Roughhouse, as we find everything seems to be going according to the sinister plans of the diabolical villain, Geist. Boom! I love getting hit with those splash pages right off the bat. Wolverine continues his underwater battle with the Tiger Shark in the next story titled Miracles by writer Archie Goodwin, breakdown artist John Byrne, finishing artist Klaus Janson, letterer Jim Novak, colorist Mike Brockwitz, editor Bob Harris, and editor-in-chief Tom DeFalco. Wolverine, facing a seemingly hopeless situation, gets in a few good shots and is able to get a taste of fresh air. But just as he's making plans to swim to shore, Tiger Shark furiously pops out of the water. Tiger Shark grabs Wolverine with a steely grip and plunges him with torpedo-like speed to the briny deep, with plans to ram him headfirst into the coral reef. Only no, instead Tiger Shark rams Wolverine's claws into the coral, leaving him stuck and seemingly defenseless. As Wolverine struggles to get free, Tiger Shark sets his sights on the original target, La Bandera, and makes for the shore, leaving Wolverine to drown. Thoughts of panic and painful demise fill our hero's head as he struggles to free himself from the coral and from the negativity that is overwhelming him. Meanwhile, La Bandera leads the rebellion's charge on land. But as La Bandera makes her way to the room where she believes her captured comrades are being kept, she is soon confronted by Geist and the makings of his sinister plans. But even worse still, Tiger Shark makes his entrance and begins his assault. But La Bandera is crafty, and she's able to regroup, parry his attacks, and attempt an escape. As the heroes and villains continue the frontal assault in the hospital, General Caridad prepares his wife, Sister Salvation, along with her healing touch, to get ready to hit Roughhouse with another dose of tainted cocaine. We learn that Sister Salvation has only agreed to use her powers for Caridad's cause, because number one, she generally wants to heal Roughhouse from the immense pain that he must be in, and number two, in order to finally see her son, who we learn General Caridad has been keeping from her. As Geist now nervously calls out for Tiger Shark in the hopes that he's finally dispelled La Bandera, Tiger Shark pounces on what he thinks is a shadowy figure of La Bandera, when he's surprised by Wolverine hacks and slashes his way through Tiger Shark's defenses as he explains how he was finally able to break free from the coral before drowning. And Wolverine strikes one last awe-inspiring blow before he and La Bandera make a break for it. As La Bandera tries to apologize to Wolverine for not listening to him sooner, he explains that the water pressure completely blew his eardrums and he needed her to help until his healing factor restored his hearing. But as they make their way up the stairs and through the killing floor, Wolverine sees the dead bodies of La Bandera's fallen comrades and realizes the true origin of her remorse. While Wolverine and La Bandera make their way to Roughhouse, Geist, and the General himself, Sister Salvation announces that her healing is complete and she demands to see her son. As Caridad sets his sights on Roughhouse, who looks to be in the same condition as he was before, Wolverine pushes his way in and removes the restraints from his former sparring partner. But before our heroes can make their grand exit, a voice calls from the rooftop above, Geist, and he is threatening to kill more prisoners, but it is only a decoy for his true plan, which is to use the cocaine-tipped dart to hit Roughhouse with, so that when he wakes up, he attacks his heroes. But La Bandera has some tricks of her own, and she uses her powers to inspire the captives to rise up and fight for freedom. Wolverine uses some tricks of his own, jumps on the helicopter, kicks Caridad out of the way, and starts his flight off into safety. And just as our heroes think it's safe to go back in the water, Tiger Shark strikes again, using his sheer strength to drag the helicopter into the ocean. Logan kicks, punches, and slashes, and is finally able to make Tiger Shark let go and plunge into the ocean below. Tiger Shark is met by a frenzied school of sharks, to which Logan replies, "Sharks eat their own." As Logan climbs back into the helicopter, he is met by a seemingly cured Roughhouse. But what's all them darts that we see sticking out of Wolvie's back now? Did Geist end up getting off his shot from his cocaine-tipped poison darts? I guess we'll find out in the next issue titled Battleground. Issue 21 titled Battleground. Here we have Acts of Vengeance tie-in part 5 of 7. Infected with Geist's tainted super cocaine, Wolverine's healing factor is pushed to its limits as his body fights off the hallucinogenic and adrenaline-pumping, heart-exploding side effects of the drug. As Wolverine fights to keep his body from quitting on him, he soon comes to the horrifying realization that this is no drug at all. In fact, it is a living disease known as the Spore. Here we get a look at some great John Byrne art as the scene opens in the deserted Australian outback and now home to the X-Men. Psylocke, Dazzler, Havoc, and Colossus are all seemingly worried that they have not been in contact with Logan for some time. Meanwhile, back in Tierra Verde, Geist and a group of Caridad's trackers are hot on the trail of Wolverine and company, and Geist seems to think Wolverine has gotten a taste of his sweet, sweet cocaine.
She can be your bestest friend in the beginning, but yo, that's just the end.
In this story, Battleground, by writer Archie Goodwin, breakdown artist John Byrne, finishing artist Klaus Johnson, letterer Jim Novak, colorist Mike Brockovich, editor Bob Harris, and editor-in-chief Tom DeFalco. Another great splash page, but I'm starting to show concern with all those sores around Wolverine's face from what Geist was talking about. He might have got that cocaine. And Dolphin's not a good look, Logan. Yup, seems to be sadly true as Roughhouse holds Wolverine down. Sister Salvation reluctantly cures him of his afflictions. We find out that when Wolverine originally jumped in the helicopter in the last issue, Geist was able to get some shots off his poison cocaine darts, but he hit Wolverine and not Roughhouse. Sister Salvation was only able to slow the effects and not completely cure Wolverine, but the group decides to continue on and keep moving. As Caridad's ground and air forces pursue Wolverine and crew, La Bandera and her ragtag group are confronted by some natives. But are they hostile? As Geist and company continue to dredge their way through the swamplands, the Beast and Logan begins to rear its ugly head once again. And in no time, we see that the drug also has hallucinogenic effects, and Wolverine seems to think that he's in some secret mission in wartime Nazi Germany, fighting the Gestapo and making his way through the war-torn streets. In his hallucination, Wolverine suits up and makes quick work of the soldiers on his tail. But as he dispels the soldiers, he gets hit by a shell from a freaking tank. Luckily, his healing factor kicks in, and before he knows it, Logan's back on the move. Even though he's quick on his feet, he's still getting hit with heavy machine gun fire from every direction. But his aim is to take out the big gun, and in that, he's successful. The tank blows and shreds Wolverine to more pieces than his healing factor can handle. But that's when she appears, Sister Salvation, and she's got news. Seems Wolverine didn't know he was in his own head, and the manifestation of himself fighting for his life is his own healing factor, and she needs him to kick it back into gear. Wolverine continues to dream, and not just his sister's touch, but a kiss might be the only thing that brings him back. Just then, Roughhouse wakes up, anxious that they should have been moving, and they shouldn't have stopped to rest. And even Wolverine, in his intoxicated and hallucinating state, knows that it was the kiss that prods him to move on and accomplish things he's never been capable of before. As he fights his way through the bitter snow, he falls upon Geist, and none other than the king Nazi bastard himself, Adolf Hitler. But as Wolverine tries to slice the Fuhrer to shreds, he turns to snow. And although he's confused by what he just witnessed, he turns his claws to Geist and begins to do what he does best: hack and slash, slice and cut. But as he's being attacked, Geist doesn't turn into stone. Instead, he turns into Spore, a living, breathing, conscious disease. In the meantime, out in the real world, a tropical storm has hit our troop of travelers, and Wolverine's symptoms are at the breaking point. And when the hurting is at its worst, the only thing left to do for the sister with the healing touch is to hold Logan close once inside. And fight he does, as Spore reveals himself to be the living disease created by the technologically advanced race known as the Deviants. Spore is the ultimate genetic weapon against undying foes. As he killed off immortals, their genes became part of him, and he grew larger, more powerful, and hungrier. But the race that bore Spore came back in judgment of him, and they struck him down and left him to rot in the jungles of South America. And there he lay dormant in the barren land. But when a crop of cocaine was finally planted there, and its addictive properties helped him course through the living blood of humans, once again, he was reborn. Spore continues to explain to Wolverine that he's the one that Spore has been looking for. Finally, a body that can heal itself long enough for Spore to grow strong before the body dies. But Wolverine remembers what Sister Salvation told him: I am my healing factor. And Wolverine is able to call in the cavalry. And again, we see Wolverine doing what he does best: hack, slash, cut, and slice. And soon he wakes up to find himself in the cold jungle of Tierra Verde, but he's not alone. Wolverine makes his way up to Sister Salvation to thank her for everything that she's done for him, and to thank her for not leaving him alone. She explains that she only did what she had to, as the general and his troops finally catch up. Logan learns that Sister Salvation had marked their trail and led Caridad to them the entire time. When he asks why she has done this, after everything they had been through together, she says, I couldn't abandon you in your time of need, but even more so, I cannot abandon my son. And the general has my son. The next issue, Spore Ascendant. Again, you guys, thank you so much for sticking with me through another Wolverine Wednesday. Hopefully we can finish the last 2 parts of this 7-part series out next week. So until then, this is Cholula's Comics signing off, and keep stacking hella comics.